All right, everybody, welcome to this week's Corn Belt Umpire Association Zoom Lunch Clinic. My name is Jake Samp. I am joined by Connor Singheisen today, and we're going to be talking about plate work. As always, drop your questions in the chat. Otherwise, at an appropriate time, unmute and just ask your question. We're here to answer your questions. If you have suggestions or topics that you would like covered at future clinics, please don't hesitate to reach out to Connor or myself. We have a couple topics coming up where we are going to be talking about some suggested topics. So please send us your requests, questions. I think we've only had 3 or 4 emails that Connor and I have responded to this morning with questions that are coming in from our mentors. If you are a mentor for the Corn Belt Umpire Association, I realize that I do owe you a mentorship email. That is on my list. It has been a very busy couple of weeks with the bar exam, getting that application done, and with graduation coming this weekend. So I know I'm behind. It's coming. So for that, a couple updates. We're still getting reports. Make sure you're confirming with your partner and coaches. It's on the Corn Belt master file. There is contact information for everybody. The SDUA has a list of everybody that is on as a registered umpire. Electronic devices for Legion. I've had more questions about this than I can count. There is some confusion right now at the Legion level, and they're working to resolve that. As of right now, and this is 12:04 on Wednesday, May 1st, if you are working a Legion game and you have a team that wants to use one-way communication devices, those are permitted. There has been a lot of confusion, and they're working on getting a final ruling. But as of right now, they are okay. That could change because I've gotten both a yes and a no from different people. But what I have been asked to relay to everybody is, as of right now, one-way communication devices are allowed. That may
Jake,
change. So yes.
sorry, I have a question. I have asked it on the Fed level because I also work in Nebraska. I asked Nebraska's people I've seen this is the catcher is wearing a walkie-talkie that you can buy at any of your local stores that has a two-way earpiece, but only the earpiece is plugged in. The microphone is around the back side. Is that a permissible one-way communication device because it is technically a two-way communication device?
What did Nebraska say?
One way only.
Okay. A couple of the interpretations that I have seen, or go ahead, Connor.
The fact that there's a microphone on it, like on the earpiece or extending from the walkie-talkie, makes it a two-way communication device and makes it illegal. I had a local college team that had a headset, which is the exact same one that I use for football. And I told them, no, we're not doing that. It's on the back. So, like, at its core, any walkie-talkie is a two-way communication device, right? But what makes it a one-way, in my opinion, is that it's not something the catcher can easily reach. Okay? So the catcher can't reach the walkie-talkie to press the button to talk back. With the reason why anything that has a microphone protruding from the walkie-talkie, so like the Midland radio headsets that have the lapel mic thing, that's a two-way communication device because it can be set to be voice activated, which makes it a two-way device, and I'm not allowing that.
Fair enough. So as of right now, electronic devices are legal. There will be clarification coming hopefully this week. I have talked to multiple of the powers that be trying to get an exact answer, and we're working on it. Legion season is already underway. Make sure we know the rule set. I have a Legion game tonight, and I've already confirmed that it is a Legion game. So make sure we're aware of the rule set differences between American Legion and NFHS. I had a question get submitted about coaches talking to partners. The general rule here, or I'm going to say general rule is instead of best practice, is the coach goes to the calling umpire. And then if we need to get together, then we get together. In certain limited situations, like if you're working with someone that's quite new, that can be modified a little bit, but the general practice is the coach goes to the calling umpire first, and then we get together. Then we also had a question on a hit by pitch mechanic. And basically the question on the hit by pitch was dealing with, I think, kind of refresh my memory. It was, are we okay to remove?
Yeah. Look at a hand.
All right.
So
Yeah,
I want
looking at the
you
hand.
to play the video that I sent you. I'm gonna have to fast forward through a little bit of it because I don't think I got the right one up. My computer's being dumb this morning. So we're gonna watch this. Do you have audio, Jake? Can you play with audio?
Trying here. Can everybody hear audio?
I cannot.
No. Mm-mm.
Okay. So go back to the start of this play.
All right.
So it's a pitch that's up and in, right? And he kind of starts forward and his bat comes off his shoulder a little bit and it gets hit. And I have a very, very, very distinct sound of the ball hitting the knob of the bat. Okay. So this is something that I'm going to handle better going forward. Anytime you have a potential hit by pitch or a ball hit the knob of the bat, just call time. Right? Don't say that's a foul ball. Call time, process what happened, and then make a decision and go. If you have a ball that you're not sure if it hit him or not, and there's any sort of a check swing, how you should handle this is call time, check the swing. So, Jake, did he go? Jake says no, and that buys you a little bit of time to discern what's happening, right? So you've already answered the main question, which is if this is a hit by pitch, is it going to be a strike because of a swing? And we have a no. And then we can process, okay, did it hit hand? Did it hit bat? Did it hit both? And in this scenario, it 100% hit the bat, but it also 100% hit the hand of the batter. So I make the mistake of put my hands up. I go, time, that's a foul ball because I have distinctly hitting the knob of the bat, like a metallic sound, right? And we can all differentiate that. So the coach comes out and we have a conversation and I direct him to the edge of the dirt circle. And we're talking and it's just kind of the conversation. I go, hey, that 100% hit the knob. He goes, well, can we look at his hand? I go, well, we can, but it 100% hit the knob. I don't have it hitting the hand. He goes, well, what if we go over and look at his hand and the knob a bone sticking out of his hand? I go, then we have bigger problems. And he kind of chuckles and we're like, okay. So I get together and I said, okay, look, I'm clarifying. I 100% have the ball hitting the knob, but I think it might have hit the hand at the same time. They're like, okay. And I say, so can we, by rule, have a ball that hits the knob and the hand and have a hit batter? And the answer was yes. So I go look at the hand, go look at the trainer, and the trainer's feeling the kid's hand is trembling. So clearly it got hit. So I go to my partner and say, hey, we're going to overturn this. And I call time, signal time, and point him to first base. And when the visiting coach comes out, he just says, hey, what was the conversation about that allowed us to change it? I go, whether or not the ball hitting the knob and the hand constitutes a hit by pitch or not. I go, because it clearly hit his hand, which is why he's got 2 trainers out there and the kid is laying on the ground and his hand shaking. He goes, okay, does that make sense? And then we sent him to first base and moved on. But if you're not sure what it hit, just time. Okay, call time. Provided the ball does not get in fair territory. The ball goes into fair territory, we have to be slow enough, let it play out, unless we know, because if it hit the bat, then we have a fair batted ball, right? So let the play conclude. If it goes fair, let the play conclude. Call time. Hey, show me your hand. Hand is bright red. That's a hit by pitch, send him to first. Right? And just tell the coach, hey, I had something. I didn't know what I had. But the ball went in fair territory. So if it hit the bat and I kill it because I think it hit the hand, then I'm wrong. And there's nothing we can do about it. But if I let it play out, I can always fix it. Right? So we can use those context clues to determine the correct ruling. And I think that as umpires, like coaches get it. They may not like it because you're getting a call right that hurts them. But ultimately, as long as it's equal, coach, common sense tells you that if his hand is that color, he got hit in the hand. It might have caught the bat too, but as long as it doesn't get one and then the other, we're good. In my judgment, it got it at the same time. And I think that's something that you just have to really just slow down and process and think through. But first off, time. If you're sure it hit him, time that hit him, did he go? If there's any semblance of a check swing. Because when we get together, the first no,
Hey, Connor,
we have
you
a foul
broke up.
ball because it did not, or if it hit. Sorry,
Hey, Connor, you're in a dead spot. I can kind of. So, I think what Connor was getting at was, time. Make sure we don't have a swing here, because if we have a swing, it's going to be a strike. It's that dead ball strike that people like to talk about. And it looks like he's still in a dead spot. So you good? Nope.
maybe, I don't know. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. Yeah. So, coach don't like it because you're getting the call right, but and you just, coach, listen, his hand's not going to be bright red like that for nothing. It's not like and then it hit the hand, then you'd have a foul ball. But if it's one sound and the ball goes call time, hey, show me your hand. All right, I got a hit by pitch, guys. And you can fix it yourself. But ultimately, just slow everything down and use common sense and try to figure out what other pieces of information you can gather to get the correct ruling.
Fair enough. Any questions on that?
That's all.
Make sure there's nothing in the chat. There's not. Cool. All right. Let's go back to the fun stuff that we were here to talk about. Plate work. All right. Oh, for the those that joined late, as of right now, one-way communication devices are good to go at the Legion level in South Dakota. But that could change. They're working on it. All right. So let's talk a little bit about the elements of the plate work. We're gonna talk about the slot foot, and a whole bunch of other stuff, including 3 different stances. And then I want to talk about equipment setup. you watch, we haven't done this topic, I think, for 3 years. So I figured today was a good day to dust this one off. So, I gotta go to the next slide. Where's the slot? Okay. So we'll start by I'm going to do this a little out of order here. If I can find it. There we go. Okay. So let's talk about what the slot is and what the slot foot is. Okay. Because this is, well, we can make a lot of jokes about being outside of the slot. The slot is the best place to be. So it is by far the safest place. It is the area between the batter and the catcher. This is one of my favorite graphics to use because, as you see on the top left, the umpire is properly in the slot, actually on all 3 of them. And it's a good diagram of why we use the slot, because I've had, countless foul balls that have gone over my shoulder. And so having them go over your shoulder, obviously they're not going into your face. So we have an incentive to protect our face from getting hit. So we're gonna go back here now. I'm gonna talk about some different stances. The first stance we're gonna talk about is what's called the heel-toe box stance. Now, the heel-toe box stance gets its name because the slot foot, which I will try to annotate here. This is your slot foot because it is the foot that is in the slot. The heel of your slot foot lines up with the toe of the non-slot foot. It is the most commonly used stance for a variety of reasons. The one real drawback to it is it's the stance where you're the least locked in. But it is by far the safest stance because, as we'll talk about with some of these other stances, not only is your body more protected, but from a biomechanics standpoint, you don't have, there's energy, or there's room for the energy to dissipate through your body more efficiently in the heel-toe stance. We'll get to arguably I gotta shut annotation off here. We're gonna get to the best and worst stance right here. The scissor stance. Oh, and right on cue, Dan pops in. Perfect. I'm gonna give Dan a quick sec to. Dan, are you here? Or able to unmute, because you have a lovely soapbox. Do you want to get on the soapbox about the scissor stance?
Okay, scissors. I used this stance for 20 years and loved it. I can tell you that it is absolutely the finest way to give yourself complete protection from the pitch, or close to. Everything I exposed to the pitcher was covered in Kevlar or had a mask on it, and it was ideal for catching a lot of pitches. I really was a huge fan of it. We all learned at the feet of Tim Cheetah, but also Jeff Nelson, who was the same height as Russ and I when we started. So, you have to really drop that back foot far back. It's just ideal, except it can kill you. The problem is when you're in the scissor stance, if you're properly in it, you are flush forward. Your face is in a great spot in the slot. But anytime you take a baseball to the head or face area, it goes directly to your neck. If you don't know, almost every concussion is about your collarbone and your neck. It's not about your head. It's about the brain's movement while the rest of you is locked. When you take a blow to the head and it goes directly to your shoulders, the likelihood of a concussive event is orders of magnitude more likely than if you are in a box, which shows my chest, my rib cage area, gets my hips involved, gets my thighs involved. Sucks as far as getting hit by the baseball. But every time I get in the head, my back can take it. I am far more flexible, far safer. There is absolutely no one who should be using a scissors. It's just not safe. There's no combination of equipment and positioning that can keep you safe or get you safe. So you really need to scrap it. And I fought it as hard as anybody alive. Was talking to the neurologist in Chicago when we were at the NCAA meeting, and he said anybody with any concussive history, and I have 7, is looking at getting completely eviscerated if they take that stance again. So I can't say it strongly enough. Get in the box.
I got 3 concussions that I know of. So
And as committed
I
as me.
mean, the scissor stance has ended careers because of concussions. Dale Scott, for sure. And I think in his later years, Dale switched to the box, but by that time the damage had been done. Tim Cheetah.
Yep.
And I think Jeff Kellogg also ended his career because of concussion issues. And I know Jeff was a scissor guy as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, there's long time, very experienced major league guys that, their careers are done because of, in part, the relationship between concussions and the use of the scissor stance. The importance of this is so much that the NCAA literally brought a neurologist to the NCAA meetings to sit and talk about the neurological effects of repeated blows with this stance. They don't teach it at pro school anymore. They teach the heel-toe box stance. There's a reason there is not a graphic on here of what the scissor stance is, because just don't do it. It's on the slide twice. I can't stress that enough. Dan can't stress that enough. Okay. I started using the scissor stance. Love the scissor stance. But baseball does not pay my mortgage. It hardly pays anybody on this call's mortgage. And I'm not, tomorrow morning, I got to wake up and I got to study for the bar exam. You got to wake up and go to work tomorrow. So I can't passionately stress enough. Don't use the scissor stance. Now let's go on to the next stance, which is often referred to as the Jerry Davis stance because it was popularized by former Major League crew chief Jerry Davis. Got a wonderful video of my friend Brian Henry here, utilizing the box stance. I use this for other videos as well with his blessing, but we also refer to it as the lock box stance because it's your feet are similar to the heel-toe box stance. They're usually a little bit more square, but then you just go hands on knees set. The benefits of it, you are locked in. You're going to have the that camera that is your eyes absolutely still. There's really no opportunity to drift in that situation. The downside, it exposes your hands and arms, and at the lower levels, we get hit a lot. And so that's kind of the downside of this stance. I have used the Jerry Davis stance before. If I feel like I'm drifting a lot, or I'm not just, the heel toe is not working for me that day, I'll switch. But I will never switch to the scissor stance. Any other things on the Jerry Davis, Dan?
No, I like it.
Fantastic. All right. So we've already talked about the slot. Chin height. All right. There's 2 different kind of theories on it. There's put your chin at the top of the catcher's head. And people also say put your eyes at the top of the strike zone. In reality, when you get to a certain level, roughly about 16U to JV, for most catchers, that's going to be the same. If you have a really small catcher, 6.5 feet tall. So I run into this problem frequently where I have a very, very short catcher. And where it's not, I'm putting my, eyes well below the top of the strike zone. If I go to the top of their head, then I just default back to top of the strike zone with the eyes. And you should have your chin be in a position where you can see not only the top of the strike zone, but that down and away pitch that we want to be able to see. If you do an in-person clinic with me before, like the one Dan, Russ, Connor, and I did in January, we had tennis balls out and we were talking about chin height and we were moving the tennis ball around and it was, can you see this? How about this pitch? Can you see that pitch? And what about, this pitch that's way down and away? So chin height's really important. The other thing with chin height is consistency. We want to have a very consistent picture of the strike zone. I want my head to be in the same spot on every pitch, because then my perception of the strike zone is the same on every pitch. All right, some more on chin height. All right, I got to minimize that. Okay. So obviously this is a catcher that moved, but roughly here's the strike zone. I'm a little high on this one, but chin's about at the top of the catcher's head. I'm still able to see this down and away pitch. And I think I got more pictures here. Yeah, just a zoomed in a little bit better picture here on a different catcher. So this guy also moved up. That's kind of the tough part with we'll call the modern theory of catching. Catchers like to work forward. The worst ones are the ones that like to work backwards. And usually I'll tell them, like, hey, you got to figure out what you're doing here because I got to get set. But again, eyes looking through the top of the strike zone. Chin roughly at the top of the catcher's head. All right, let's talk about distance. So I gotta see what pictures I got here. Okay, cool. So I got 3 pictures here, I think. So obviously this catcher's working down and coming away. So he's moving at the last second. If you can move with the catcher a little bit and still get in a position to be locked and set at the time that it is at the time of pitch, great, do it. If not, work with your catcher. Hey, make sure you give me a look. When you slide forward, I can't compensate and get there. Let them know. Another one, this is a little far back. He moved forward again, like a lot of other catchers do. So just being up on the catcher is okay. Just make sure you don't interfere with them. And then this is my ideal setup. Also, I think Vaith is on this call. Hey, Vaith, there's your photographic proof of me in a jacket on the dish. It's like the one picture that exists.
I love it.
I hate it. It's the one picture that exists. So yeah, that's kind of what we got. That's it. I know we're going to talk about equipment. So there's a couple different ways to set your equipment up. 1 ball bag, 2 ball bag, obviously personal preference. I like symmetry. So I go 2 ball bags. My personal setup, I have my indicator in my left ball bag. I have my plate brush, plate scraper actually, in my right ball bag. I'm right-handed, and we use the indicator in our left hand. They are ergonomically designed to go in the left hand Also, when we go to take our mask off, we want to use our left hand to take the mask off. Reason for that is make your outs with your right hand. And so we have more communicating stuff that we do with the right hand. So indicator in the left hand. Now, Dan, when was it was what, 21, fall of 21, I think was the first time you and I worked together at Mankato.
It's so
I think.
awful. It was so horrible. I don't know if I remember. Yeah, I think it was 21 that I saw.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the season of 2022, so 2 years ago, I totally stole this from Dan, who I know borrowed it from somebody else. I keep my indicator in my pocket at all times. After each pitch is thrown, I take it out, set it, and put it back in my pocket. I like that. I like not having anything in my hands when I'm umpiring. Also, I wear an All-Star FM 4000 mag, which is a powder-coated mask, and I have an All-Star 4-dial, which is like, it's the brick indicator. So it's super heavy, and it just beat the crap out of my mask, taking my mask on and off. And so you'd eventually see a wear spot in the powder coating. And granted, you can fix the powder coating, but it's a lot easier to just put it in your pocket. Those were a couple things I just wanted to hit. Indicator goes in the left hand. Do what's comfortable for you as far as your setup. If you like one ball bag, do one ball bag. There's no hard and fast rule about, you have to use 2 ball bags. And then mask off with the left hand. Any questions? Man, we cruised through that one. I didn't expect that to take that. I expect that to take longer. Cool. All right. Well, I'm going to shut the recording off, but as always, I'll stick around for a little bit. Next weekend, we're not quite sure what the topic is. We kind of had to change this one on the fly. So next week's up in the air. Wait for an email to come about that. Feel free to hop off. Otherwise, stick around. We'll talk baseball for a little bit. Have a good one, guys.